Room 442 is presented by North Star Bets. That's a win.
Welcome into Room 442. I'm Sarah Pararia, joined alongside James Sharman and Albert Vartanian. And guys, there's a lot to get into today, so let's jump right in. The big news from Monday is that Christian Stellini has been sacked as the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. James, did you see this one coming?
Yeah, what time on Sunday? After the 6-1? At half-time, actually, I thought, he's done. That's not going to work out. I mean, listen, it was an odd hire to begin with. You fire Conte, who he's worked with for years and years and years, keeps the same staff, and they expect different results. It was never going to really work out. I don't know what the other option would have been, but the way they just quit on the manager, it seemed like embarrassment is what he called it, that performance. It was pathetic performance. So listen, they're still fighting, I think, for a European spot. Europa League, I think the Champions League spot's probably done now, but they can still slip out of the European spots if they continue this. So maybe giving Ryan Mason the keys to the castle will steady the ship, so to speak. But even then, it's a little bit unfair on Ryan Mason, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think he was expected to be the one after Conte. It just doesn't make any sense to me why Spurs would use Stellini as the guy after Conte. Conte's best friend. A guy who has no managerial experience. The last time, I think it was like 5 years ago in Serie C. The third division. Yeah. And that didn't end well, right? And he comes in, he plays the exact same way as Conte, a back three, up until Newcastle, and then decides, well, let's switch it to a back four going away to St. James's Park to take on Newcastle in a really big clash for a top four spot. And you're using two fullbacks. One is a winger. The other one is horrible defensively, Pedro Porro. You're going with a back two with Dyer and Romero, who Romero's been good this season, but he was awful in that game. Dyer's been pretty bad since Conte left. And then in the midfield, you go with a young player in Sarr as your defensive midfielder. It just, the whole thing didn't make any sense.
But he did change the three again at halftime.
Yeah, he went back to a three. And what I don't understand is why do that? I mean, the back three has been somewhat successful in terms of keeping them in the race for the top four, but they don't even really know how to play that system correctly. Now you're going to a four to try and show that you can play a different way than Conte has. So it's not just on him, it's on the players. They should have shown up, they didn't. But a lot of this just goes right to the top, to the man at the top, and Daniel Levy. The lack of strategy and vision for this club is incredible. Like what came out today, that they're going to reimburse fans.
The players came out with that statement.
So I'll read that right now from the players at Tottenham.
That tells you a lot.
As a squad, we understand your frustration, your anger. It wasn't good enough. We know words aren't enough in situations like this, but believe us, a defeat like this hurts. We appreciate your support home and away, and with this in mind, we would like to reimburse fans with the cost of their match tickets from St. James's Park. We know this doesn't change what happened on Sunday, and we'll give you everything. We will give everything to put things right against Man United on Thursday evening, when again your support will mean everything to us.
This came out after the fans demanded they pay.
Well, it was the trust. It was supporters' trust. And the Spurs supporters' trust is very good. They put a lot of pressure on the team, but I can't remember the exact verbiage. I'm paraphrasing, but the awful events that happened at the weekend against Newcastle, and they should be reimbursed. Do I think they should be reimbursed? Maybe. It's a pretty long trek to Newcastle, but
I've got a problem with that, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
I think I got an issue with that too. I don't understand it.
I mean, it's nice to play.
Can you imagine if the Leafs asked for a reimbursement every year?
There'd be less money in that
organization. Oh my God, they'd be paying salaries for the next 20 years.
Still, 3-1.
Yes, baby.
But I don't know. I mean, if you're a sports fan, this is part of the risk you take, right?
Totally.
Paying for a ticket, your team might let you down.
And Newcastle's also been good this year. It's not like it's been, a team from previous seasons. Newcastle has been.
They're going away to one of the best home teams in the Premier League.
What did they expect? Like, even Albert was saying into the weekend, he was like, I don't expect Spurs to win this. He's a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I did not expect what we saw in the first half.
Sure.
I did expect them to lose because Newcastle is a much more organized team. They're a better team. If you're going to go to St. James's Park, you got to be on point, especially defensively. And Spurs, they just weren't. And it's really concerning as a Spurs fan. But I've seen this unfold before, and I saw this happening. I'm like, you're gonna
okay. You say that, but you're when they signed Conte as a Spurs fan, you're like, wow, we got Conte.
Of course, you're getting a winner.
Aggressive. They got the man straight away.
Right,
he did a good job, but we all knew it would eventually go sour, which is what happened, right? And then Levy pulled the chute when he had to because it was so toxic in that room.
We were hoping it would go sour after winning something.
Yeah, sure, of course. But when he fires Conte, someone's got to replace him. And this guy, in Conte's absence through illness, he actually did pretty well. 4 wins in 6 games. So I understand why I thought, well, maybe there was something there, right? It didn't work out. It's easy in hindsight to judge Daniel Levy, and I understand why the fans don't trust him. He's done a lot of good for that club as well.
Right.
I mean, that's a legitimate top club with one of the, if not the best stadium in world football.
I don't want to hear that.
It means a lot. It does mean a lot for his job, right? He brought in Paratici to kind of run the show on the pitch as far as being sporting director. He then got let go because of the Juve debacle, not really Levy's fault. So I think he's had some pretty bad luck as well. This is a big club that can be turned around, I think, pretty quickly. Maybe not to be winning championships, but being at least top 4 football, winning cups, perhaps it can happen with the right man in charge. I really believe that.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I agree that Daniel Levy has brought this club to a position that they probably shouldn't be in. I mean, when he took over the club, I think the goal was to keep Spurs in the Premier League. So it shows you how far they've come. But he's made a lot of bad decisions. I go back to the Pochettino thing. He should have never sacked him, should have backed him. Right? Pochettino went 2 transfer windows without signing a player. Name another club, a Big 6 club that would do that. It doesn't happen.
But then they signed Jose Mourinho, and I didn't hear one Spurs fan going, "Oh, we don't want him."
No, it's because it's the same thing with Conte. You're bringing in a guy who wins everywhere, but it doesn't work at Spurs because those types of managers don't fall in line with what Levy wants to do, and he can't back these type of managers who need all this money. It's a big issue. And then if you're looking at this Stellini issue. Why would you put him in charge? You want to be recognized as a top 4, a big club in Europe, this big stadium, all this stuff. No team would let that happen. They would go out and get a manager because there's managers out there.
But who?
Pochettino wanted to come. You can go out.
Yeah,
he did.
Was he not holding out for Chelsea?
But
the Chelsea situation happened around the same kind of time, right?
Right.
And that was the worst thing for Spurs.
Yeah.
Because they are the bigger fish.
But you tell me they couldn't go after Pochettino, Nagelsmann, Brendan Rodgers. There's managers out there. Would
Brendan Rodgers be accepted there? Do you really believe that?
I think you could get the manager, though, if you really wanted to. Why not get a real manager, put him in charge, and push for the end of the season, finish in top 4? Now that's gone. Now you're going to go with Ryan Mason for the end of the season.
I understand why he's waiting, though, until the summer where there's more managers available as well. And now we're saying
because
might be the manager.
Finishing top 4 is extremely important.
You think they could have done it top 4 even with a new manager?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think they would have had a better shot than going with Stellini.
The players need to be accountable here as well, right? Harry Kane aside,
I agree.
He's got 24 goals this year in all competitions. He's been brilliant, right?
And he was the only guy who kept on playing. It showed some pride.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's some injury issues as well.
Yeah.
But they must at some point answer the call as well, right? And they've been quitting on managers all year long, it seems like. So a lot of layered issues at Spurs right now, but I don't think they're that far away from once again being at least competing for top 4 football. They still are competing for top 4
But this is another reset for Tottenham.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time next season comes, if Tottenham hire a new manager after Ryan Mason, that's 4 managers in 12 matches.
No, it's
Come on. That doesn't make sense.
But that's why I think it keeps going back to Daniel Levy because it's the guy at the top. There's so much change happening. How can it not be him?
He's had the managers.
But they're not working out.
No, because he's not backing them properly.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's the issue.
So it's
spent a lot of
not.
money this
So he's
offseason.
not working well with them.
There you go.
Look at Arna Danjuma comes in the January transfer window. He doesn't play him because he didn't want him. Who's making these decisions?
Well, that's Paratici, wasn't it?
I guess.
Who was Conte's guy?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move from London to Manchester, and we're going to get into the biggest match of the Premier League this season. It's Manchester City versus Arsenal at the Etihad on Wednesday. Gentlemen, they are calling this basically the biggest match in the Prem. Would you, Albert, agree that this is going to determine who wins the title?
That's tough to say if it's going to determine, but based on the way Manchester City is playing, I just don't see them losing many matches. If any matches at all, they might drop some points here and there because it happens, especially in the run-in. But I do expect Manchester City to win. You look at Arsenal's team, a very good team, and I wouldn't count them out. There's a chance they can definitely win this game. But I've said it. When they lost William Saliba, I thought that was huge. I mean, for this Arsenal team, there's 3 players you cannot lose. It's Odegaard, it's Partey, and it's Saliba. And I would even say Partey and Saliba are more important than Odegaard because they carry so much of that defensive duty to allow Odegaard and Saka and Martinelli to do their thing in the attacking zone. But no Saliba once again. There's no surprise. They've dropped 3 of the last 5 without him. And now going to Man City against Erling Haaland, and this team is humming right now. I just do not see Arsenal win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 games without Saliba, 9 goals against, 7 in the last 3 games.
It's huge, man.
Right? Rob Holding, with respect, isn't William Saliba, and it's been a big issue.
Right.
I think also Partey hasn't been quite the same player for a number of weeks either.
Yeah.
With his injured, I'm not sure what the reason is there, but it's been a big problem for them. Is it a decider? I think it's a bit early for that, but it's definitely a must-win for Arsenal.
Sure.
Because if they, or at least don't lose this game anyway, if City win this game, it's done.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to win the championship with a couple of games to go, I think. The way they're playing right now, with the point differential, with the games differential as well.
Yeah,
This is a game that Arsenal have to win.
Well, with the games in hand, let me just remind you guys. So it's Arsenal with 75 points, City with 70. City have 2 games in hand, and obviously they play one another on Wednesday. James, are Arsenal, bottling their chances? This is a word that has been going around. I've seen it everywhere. With the last 3 games, they've drawn West Ham, Southampton, and of course Liverpool.
Yeah, I'd say they have bottled it.
Yeah.
However, it's one of the most respectful bottling jobs I've seen in recent years, because no one thought they'd be here. It's been a great season for them.
Point.
But you know, with the lead they had on City, knowing that City's coming for them, to draw 3 straight games. Now Liverpool at Anfield, okay, I understand that happens. But West Ham and Southampton
At
the
the
worst team
Emirates.
in the league at the Emirates.
Yeah.
I mean, that is inexcusable. I know they came back twice in that game. It's irrelevant. So I think fans will look back on this as being a real missed opportunity if they don't win this year. And it was a bottle job, but like I said, you know, it's been otherwise a really, really good season for them, and an unexpected season for them.
And look at their next 4 matches. I want to ask you this. They have City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton. How many points did they get from those 4 matches?
3.
Right?
Chelsea.
If they're like,
Right, yeah, that's it.
If you don't think City isn't going to win this league, I think you're crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's really incredible how it's shifted so much, because I think we're all saying it was going to be Arsenal. We were all on the bandwagon,
We were,
but
it's
all
true,
of a sudden
fortunately.
now we have one team coming into form at the right time and the other one dropping.
It reminds me so much of the Leicester year when they won, because Spurs should have won that year, right? It was a weakened league. This is a kind of a weakened league this year. It's an incredible season, one of the best we've seen for a long time. But you look at Chelsea, a contender, being awful. Liverpool, a contender, being awful. United being up and down so much throughout the campaign. Newcastle, this team emerging quicker than we thought. This is opportunity. This was the year for Arsenal. It's going to be much harder next year. So in a weakened season, it's got a really great on Arsenal fans' gears if they can't get this thing done.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like last year again. I think we're going to see almost maybe to the last match day a fight to the finish, which is great for us as fans. But
how about City having the chance to win the treble?
I mean,
it's on.
It's
actually on.
It's looking really good for the
Just Real Madrid to get through in the
yeah, but you know what? Like,
this
is the best, I think, year out of recent years to get Real Madrid. Like, they're just not, like I think I said this last
the same
week.
thing last year, Sarah.
No, I've backed Real Madrid every single year, unlike you fools who are going for Liverpool and then what happened. Thank you very much. No, this is the first time
Loves
though
a Real Madrid,
where I've said the way they compete in La Liga, like they're not the same team. Benzema's been injured, so I think if anything, it is Real Madrid. You can't forget them in the Champions League, but this is probably the best year for City to get them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think they would have liked AC Milan or Inter over Real Madrid for sure. But I think sometimes bigger teams play better against other bigger teams, like when the competition
they rise to the challenge.
Yeah,
I feel like that's going to be a high-scoring tie.
I think so too.
Right,
yeah.
like 3-3 type games between those two. I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was gettable. That's
the
for sure.
quarterfinals were a bit drab.
Wasn't drama.
Yeah, I want the drama.
Seeing the FA Cup semi-final and the shootout on the weekend, it's like, I want more of that in the Champions League.
Solly March, come on.
Oh, no, not Solly March. All right, let's listen to what Pep Guardiola has to say about this upcoming match against Arsenal.
To read exactly what you have to do. But it's a massive important game for us, so we know that winning will do a step to depend completely in our hands, and Premier League is 11 months, 10 months, 11 months working, and this opportunity we wanna take it, and alone we wanna do it. Hopefully this all Etihad will be full 3 hours before the game.
Calling all Manchester City fans, Guardiola wants the Etihad packed. James, I want to ask you, he kind of referenced how hardworking you have to be to compete in the Premier League, any domestic league really. But is it that we saw Arsenal peak too early, like maybe what you said about Napoli, and that City have just not been the best? They didn't start the season the best, but they've been consistent, and now they're just rising when they need to, and that's how you win a domestic league.
We talk about squad depth all the time, and before this season, even when Arsenal came to the great start, the question was, man, are they deep enough though? And I think they held out longer than we thought. But when you see a Rob Holding coming in for a William Saliba, that's a big difference there, right? If Partey's hurt, which he was hurt for a while, it's a big difference. Right, can Granit Xhaka get the job done on a regular basis for 55 games of the season. So I think with City, with their squad, their starting 11's wonderful, we know that, but they can rest players and rotate players. Not that he's done it that much in recent weeks, in fairness, but they have that depth to continue and to peak at the right time. And there's no manager better at knowing when to peak and how to get his players peaking at the right time than Pep Guardiola. So yeah, I think it comes down to depth for sure. It's a big issue why Arsenal couldn't quite keep it going. But listen, it's not over yet. They could still find a way. And like you said, they could beat City. If they play like they played for much of this season, they're good enough to beat Man City. I would be surprised if it happens, though.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either.
So are you both, just for predictions for the match? You're both taking City?
3-1 City.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I just don't see City losing at this point.
No.
I think 3-1 is a good result.
Friendly reminder, they've not lost a match at the Etihad in 2023.
This one, for some reason, I don't know why, but I feel like if Man City pull this off, it feels bigger than the others.
You think so?
Because they're chasing, because they've been so far behind.
Yeah.
Right? City has either been the leaders or maybe a point or two behind Liverpool.
I mean, I know in the past Pep said that the races with Liverpool they were so neck and neck the whole way.
Man.
One
Yeah.
point at the end, right? I mean, it meant a lot to them. Listen, the biggest was still the first.
Probably.
With Mancini.
Yeah. No, I mean under Pep. I'm saying under Pep.
Okay.
Pep.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I could be wrong. But I mean, if they end the season with a Premier League title and a Champions League title, we're going to talk about this team as one of the greatest ever.
One of the greatest. We still talk about that United team from '99, don't we?
Yeah. But if Arsenal pull it off, then I think you have to talk about them as maybe one of the greatest single season stories in Premier League history.
Yeah, no, it should be a fantastic match, though. Once again, Arsenal and City take place on Wednesday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Heading over to Italy now, the Coppa Italia, and this one is also going to be a very interesting one, gentlemen. Inter and Juventus in the second leg. First leg, draw 1-1. James, this is really interesting because Juve have now got their 15 points back, sit third in the Serie A, and Inter are kicked down to sixth place.
For the time being.
Right? But isn't that just like the Serie A just shifted completely all of a sudden? Besides Napoli, who are at the top.
If you're Inter Milan, you're pissed.
Oh,
right. You're in that contention now because of the 15-point ban being rescinded. Like I said, for the time being. That being said, there's reports this morning from Gazzetta dello Sport that Juve will be banned from European competition next season, regardless, by UEFA. Who said we can't wait. We've got to organise tournaments next year. We can't wait for the appeal here. So they might ban them anyway, which would get Inter Milan potentially back in there. So it's a complete mess. This game's a complete mess.
Yeah.
The first game, of course, Lukaku racially abused. The big melee ensues. He gets sent off for responding to the racists in the stands. Since then,
you just silence them, to be fair. Apparently you're not allowed. Sorry, let me just ask you.
You can make monkey noises, but you can't silence them.
You're not allowed to silence this is not allowed anymore in football.
All the time, doesn't it?
No, but I thought we were all doing that.
And he tried to appeal it, right?
Didn't
they try to appeal it?
Yeah.
No, he did. So he's now, the FIGC has now allowed Lukaku will be in the game on Wednesday.
Ah, okay.
But the
I thought
fact
it went
that
the
they
other
even
way.
had to go through that,
But
obviously.
171 fans
Juve
have been
fans
banned.
Gone.
Because they found guilty of racially abusing Lukaku. So they're doing something finally in a league that's just ignored it for so many years. But what a mess that game was. So Lukaku's back in there. Yes, and 7 players from Inter Milan could miss the final because they're on yellow cards right now. 3 Juve players. So it could be kind of tentative. It's a weird one, this, right? Tight affair. Listen, let's hope Inter Milan win this one. They're the good guys. Juve are the bad guys. Simple as that on numerous fronts.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, this is going to end up being a really, really, really good season for Inter.
It could be.
Semi-final of the Champions League, Coppa Italia, and if Juve end up dropping out, then they can make a push for the top 4. I mean, that's a great season.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those, though, I keep, like, when I watch them play, I'm so disappointed. I'm so bored. I find the football just not good. But they are, like, if you look at what they are doing, they're getting by. They're doing enough that's pragmatic, I guess. I don't personally like it. But, yeah, if you look at it like that, is there any doubt that Inter will be a little too focused on the Champions League semifinal against Milan, that this might be not as...
Could be. I mean, you might see some rotation, especially because of the yellow cards as well.
It has to be.
But
this is a Serie A Coppa Italia game. There's going to be yellow cards galore.
From the outside looking in, if you're looking at the priority list for Inter Milan, right, it has to be, I think, Champions League, trying to get into the top 4 in Serie A, and then the Coppa Italia. So there could be a lot of rotation, but at the same time, it's Inter Juve in the Coppa Italia. It's a massive game.
And the final, they'll play either Fiorentina or Cremonese.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll be the huge favourite in that one. So, yeah, a great opportunity for Inter Milan. Maybe a cup double. Imagine that, Champions League.
Yeah.
And this, let's not go too far here, of course.
We're talking doubles, triples,
I know what is going on. But, hey, listen, the Derby d'Italia is one of the great rivalries in world football, and it should be nasty. should be a lot of animosity, and boy, this one certainly has.
And this one is also just to remind you guys at the San Siro, so you know those Inter fans are going to be terrorizing the Juventus players, especially with what happened to Lukaku last week. So very interesting matchups coming up and a lot of exciting football with Man City and Arsenal, and of course Inter and Juve.
Room 442 is presented by North Star Bets. That's a win.